Welcome to Pittsburgh Sports Line. Thanks for watching our show. And we have our usual cast of characters here. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Big Mike Butera. And we always start the show with what's on our mind. Big Mike, what's on your mind?
Go ahead. I'm going to start. You can interrupt or you want to do?
You have to start before you can be interrupted.
Okay.
You understand that I cannot interrupt you till you start. Okay, thank you.
Well, before I get interrupted, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my 11-year-old niece, Elena Borger. Also want to say hello to Rick and Loretti, as always, in Frankfort, Illinois, Sausage in Columbus, Ohio. And we got two new viewers. My son is 24 years old, and he has two guys from high school, Dudikoff and Whitlow, who have become fans of the show. So that's why we're up to 166.
And where are they located at?
They're from Fox Chapel area.
Well, thank you. We're expanding our base to
Yeah,
Big Mike Butera.
Again,
Okay, we'll move on to
We're
Smoking.
entertaining the upper crust.
We'll move on to Smoking Jim Frazier. No. All right.
I want.
Go
Aren't you
ahead,
going to
Big
do your
Mike.
thing? Do your thing. Good.
Not yet.
All right.
It's not time.
The Penguins, man, we all, where's the thing at? The Penguins have been out of sight.
Towards the camera.
And one of the things that the NHL.com has puts up every day, for that matter, is a bunch of statistics. And I think this is incredible that out of the top 8 statistical categories, the Penguin players lead in half of them. This is as of yesterday. Crosby has a total of 53 points, and right behind him, or not right behind him, but in second place is Chris Kunitz with 41. Crosby leads the league in assists with 39.
What did you say?
You didn't say
Kunitz.
Okay, just wasn't sure.
Volkovitz?
Take it away, I'm done.
I thought you stuttered on that.
Go
All
ahead.
right.
He's on a roll. He's on a roll.
You were doing so good up
Keep
until
going,
that
Big
point.
Mike. Keep going.
You know what it is, folks? If you haven't noticed, go to Pittsburgh Sports Line on Facebook, and not only do you like our site, but what do you think of the new setup? I can actually
it's
see
awesome.
the two guys over there. And this was Big Mike's suggestion because the arthritis in his neck was bothering him so much, looking around Big Smoke over there. So, all right, Big Mike, did you finish that segment?
Just let him go.
All right. Thanks for what's on your mind. And that was one of the best interruptions of Big Mike that I've seen. And now, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And again, if you want the green, go with Levine. A lot of people don't know. I was engaged to be married at one time to the runaway bride, and
Is she sitting next to you?
haven't seen. Hey, I haven't seen her since. I tell you what, I remember we went in front of the minister, and he says, repeat your vowels, and I says A, E, I, O, and U. So I haven't seen her since. But the Spotlight Player of the Week, I'm going back to the black colleges again. I'm going back to Arkansas Pine Bluff. And I tell you what, there's not too often that I will guarantee the success of a great player in the NFL from Arkansas Pine Bluff. But that's what I'm doing with a natural offensive left tackle named Tyron Armstead. He's 6'5", 305 pounds, and this guy's a super athlete. He's a 4-year starter, started 39 of a possible 40 games that he played. And I tell you what, this kid does not run the 40 and 5.0. He doesn't run a 4.9 40. He doesn't run a 4.8 40 or a 4.7 40. He's the fastest offensive lineman in the history of football, college or pros. He consistently runs a 4.5 40, and I'm guaranteeing his success at the next level. So that's my Spotlight Player of the Week, Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Wow.
What
Tyron
position?
Armstead, offensive left tackle.
Sweet.
Where's he going to go in the draft? That's what I want to know.
Well, his stock is probably rising right now, but I hope that I think he would look pretty good in black and gold. Yeah.
Okay.
Good
There
job.
we go.
Good job.
Smoking Jim with some more insights. He got more segments on this show than I do, folks. Keeps adding another one. All right, now we go to Chip the Prophet Hayner, who I like to throw the prophet in this time of year because every so often he pulls out those long shots that come in. Makes Smoking Jim's bookie a little upset, but what can you do? All right, Chip, what's on your mind?
Who besides me had Florida Gulf Coast beating Georgetown? Nobody. 1% of the people in the NCAA basketball bowls, and they are the first number 15 seed to make it to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
So right now, that's my team. My team's destiny. Yes, and I still have Louisville picked to win the national title. I have Louisville and Miami meeting in the national championship, with Louisville taking it. But what's on my mind?
Oh, I thought that was.
What's on my mind? Smoking Jim's over here telling us about this offensive lineman that runs like greased lightning, and he's 6'5" and 305 pounds. I heard Manti Te'o today ran an unofficial 4.71 for you. Okay, so you've got a linebacker that's not going to be able to outrun linemen. So maybe the Steelers ought to go for the O-line. But what's on my mind more than anything else? I love spring. Because where else but in Pittsburgh can you get 8 inches of snow in the spring? But opening day is just days away. Monday, the Pirates open up the season here at home against the Chicago Cubs. And I tell you what, the beginning of a baseball season, it's just like spring in and of itself. Everything is reborn. Everybody's got an unbeaten record. And I'm really looking forward to watching the Pirates put a winning product on the field this year. And the streak ends this year. Bank it.
Hold it. I got to break up the show right now. Wait a second. Where's that chipper dollar? I got to make the official bet, folks.
Okay, the bet has been accepted. You folks
There's
hear
the
that?
bet.
And,
They do not break
and
the
I will
streak.
claim this dollar on my tax return this year. Mark that down.
Witness? Witness.
We got witnesses.
We got witnesses.
All right,
the
we got
streak
the official.
ends this year.
Yeah, these dollars are trained, buddy. Watch this.
Monday afternoon, A.J. Burnett pitching against Smarsta.
What time is the starter so I could make sure I tune
You know
in?
what? I'm probably thinking the
Afternoon?
It's an afternoon game. I'm probably thinking one. Unfortunately,
You're too
I had
excited
I had to
about this.
give my ticket up to the game to a friend of my wife. My wife will be there. I'll be there in spirit. I can't afford to take the day off. Buying a new house, you just can't afford any days off unpaid. So,
And Chip's moving
priorities
on
are going to be
Saturday.
kept straight.
He's moving on Saturday. All the friends that might be tuning in when this gets on YouTube or right now, contact Chip.
I've already got a solid group of strong backs to help me, so I'm in good shape.
Oh, good. And what else is on your mind? You were covering everything, buddy. I don't know. I don't know when to interrupt you now because I did 3 times and you kept going.
No, that's it. That's all that's on my mind for the time being.
Thanks.
You're on fire again. You're on fire.
Absolutely. Well, we've got. What's on my mind is no infomercials today.
No.
Well, hold it a second.
Zach, this is what you call a shameless plug, Zach.
Yeah.
Right there.
They like my shameless
Call
plugs.
me first, call me last, but just call me.
Hold it, but the tip. What we have to do is call him for plumbing. All right, 412-583-5047. Just ask for Little Z. All right. And he's not really little. You've watched the show. You know that.
Pun intended.
And I would show all of his things, but he said it's too confusing. That no job is too big or too small. So if you need help Smoking Jim around the house, you broke a little handle in the kitchen, he can fix it for you.
I got Miss Heather for that.
Okay. That's right. She does all that. Mister on the show. All right, I'll get down to my little sports, what's on my mind.
I like the table. What they used to be.
You know what? This is very awkward. I can't focus right now because that big mic keeps staring and grinning at me here. What's next? What's on my mind is still the Penguins. I mean, I'm obsessed with it because that Kool-Aid tastes great. They're going for lucky 13. 13 wins in a row. That'd be a franchise record in all their history. So I say they do it tonight. And who's coming into town? The ex-coach Therrien with the Canadians.
Wow.
Look they ran him out of town here. Now he doesn't have to speak English. So how
Not
great
that he
is
ever
that?
did when he was here.
Well, he did. Contrary to those rumors, he did have a coach who was teaching him English, and he ended up back in Montreal. So
Do you know?
that's what's on my mind. We'll revisit any of this stuff in the next segment.
Right now,
Let's
do
start
you
now.
remember who the Penguins coach was the first year that Lemieux hit the ice? And the reason why they brought him on board is because he was French-speaking Canadian.
I don't
Because
remember.
they wanted to tutor Lemieux for his first year, and the guy only lasted 1 year.
You know why? Lemieux said that's enough. I need a better guy here. Like he did with the rest of the coaches. That's well known. They couldn't last. You had a Hall of Famer, Scotty Bowman. He couldn't stay.
All right, part two, and I don't remember the guy's name. I was asking you guys. This wasn't
All right, call in 412
831
3304.
Yeah,
Alan,
really.
you stand corrected here because the Penguins' 13th win tonight when they beat the Canadians. Notice how I did not say if.
I like
when.
that.
The Penguins are shooting to break a record set by the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is 17 wins in a row. They did
It
that.
encompassed 2 seasons.
But it didn't
There's
matter.
a technicality.
It's an NHL.
buddy.
It was consecutive wins in the regular season.
The end of
And that was
one.
done by the Penguins. So, they're going to beat their own record by winning 18 in a row. You heard it here.
Wow.
But this is the single season record.
Was that over 2 seasons? I thought that was.
It was the end of the season before.
When was that? Was
No,
that when
no,
Yager played, the greatest Penguin
That was
ever?
at 92,
91,
I think
93.
Yager
It was
was
91,
there.
92. Speaking of
Greatest
Yager,
player ever.
here's a good one.
40
about
years
Yager.
old he is now. Guess what team he's playing for?
Dallas.
Excellent.
His next assist will give him 1,000 in the NHL, which will make him the 11th NHL player to achieve that. And he's played with 4 out of the 11, which was Messier, Coffey, Lemieux, and I can't remember the 4th one. but
You know
that's
what?
a
You're
hell of a-
hitting on
that's
almost
a-
all cylinders but one.
I like that.
That's 3 in a row. That's 3 in a row, my friend. I'm glad we're revisiting this and you're throwing out new information.
I'll come back.
We'll go to a
revisit
commercial
that.
break. No, forget the commercial. We'll just keep moving on. If anybody else has questions on whatever Big Mike said and you want to revisit that. Oh, what did you say?
Ben Holland. I want to.
He had an assist with him?
I know that you know him.
Yes.
Chipper?
Ben Howland?
Yeah.
Yes, the former coach
Well,
of
but
Pitt.
do you know him?
No, I did not.
Do you know him?
Personal.
Is he as nice as they made him out to be in that interview, in his exit interview, or whatever you want to call it?
Can I give you a quick 30-second Ben Howland
You can
story?
have 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay. We ran a summer basketball league called the Connie Hawkins Summer Basketball League, which was at one time the Atlanta Constitution rated it in the top 10 summer basketball leagues in the country. And all the Pitt players played in our league, so we had a relationship with Ben Howland. And 1 year, the CEO of Champion Enterprises, Bill Neal,
I know him, Big Mike.
we're riding around after a meeting, right? And Bill Neal says, "Hey, you want to go to Pitt game?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go to
Price
Pitt
is
game."
right.
So he calls. Yeah, I mean, we wasn't scheduled to go. He makes a phone call maybe a half hour before the game. Now I don't know who he calls, but he makes a phone call half hour before the game. He says, "All right, there'll be tickets waiting for you." So we get there, we're running a little late, so we go in, and I didn't see the tickets, and we're sitting up in Peanut Heaven, man. And I'm saying, this is my first time in Peterson Event Center, and it's packed.
Right.
It's senior night. Brandon Knight and all of them, I think, are seniors
What a
that
game
night.
to go to.
So we're sitting up there in Peanut Heaven. I'm loving it. I mean, them college girls are looking good down there. Your cheerleaders looking good. I mean, the place is packed. I said, wow, they really love basketball in this town. So after halftime, we're sitting in one row, and I guess there's some people mad, and they're like we might be in their seats. We're up in Peanut Heaven. So at halftime, we start walking down to our seats, and we're walking down, and we're walking down, and we're walking down. I'm like, man, where we going? We walk all the way right behind the Pitt bench. I'm sitting next to Brandon Knight and them, their parents. There's like 3 seniors. And
Ben shook
Bill
him.
Neal called before the game Ben Howland in the locker room to get Ben Howland to leave the tickets. And that started our relationship with Ben Howland. But yeah, he's a great guy. Not only is he a great guy, but you know, Pitt used to come out to the song by 50 Cent. You know, they used to be jamming, and you know, 50 Cent got shot 8 times. So you know, Ben Howland knows about the brothers.
He does. I respect that.
But anywho, that's it. He's a great guy, and the coach that mentored Jamie Dixon. So,
Geez, you go 25-10, you get bounced. Holy smokes! I mean, and you went to the second round. I mean, this is stuff I read in the newspaper. That's
Well,
why I asked.
and unfortunately for Ben Holland, I mean, the expectations at the UCLA basketball facility is, nothing less than a national title is acceptable. And then basically he had a winning program just like he had here, but they didn't win with enough panache. Like that, a little panache.
That means you need a national title. You guys that don't know
not so much. Not so much.
He had
that,
3 Final Fours.
but
that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, but it's he didn't have the excitement. LA is showtime.
Yeah.
You need to wow them.
You're right.
It's got to have that wow factor, and I guess consistently winning just isn't wow enough for them.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because he's not going to be unemployed very long. There's going to be a very fortunate program out there that's going to snatch him up, and he's going to make them a national power.
It won't be Pitt, by the way.
Were they just 10-year contract extension for Dixon?
Jamie Dixon, yes, they did.
I mean, is that?
It's not normal.
You know what? The contract extensions are about as useful as tissue paper because, if he wants to go take a job somewhere else, these guys walk away from contracts every day of the week. So they signed him to 10 years.
And Prophet, what is your prediction in the next 10 years? How many times will Jamie Dixon defend his CBI title?
You know what? There's probably 3, and that's just I'm going on the low end. Okay.
3? Not at all. I say not at all. I'm
going to tell you what.
They're not paying to play anymore.
Pitt's level of play in the Big East, which, the Big East sent 8 teams to the tournament this year, the most of any conference.
Again.
But the record in the tournament was abysmal. But I'm telling you what, going into the ACC, Pitt's going to get beat up pretty good. There's some really strong teams in the ACC. Carolina's always a perennial national power. You've got Duke. You've got Miami, who is destroying everybody this year. There's a lot of teams in there that Pitt's going to really have to step it up.
Well, Pitt's football team got smart. After Gradkowski beat them at Toledo, they stopped playing Toledo. And Pitt may want to stop playing Robert Morris because with the coach O'Toole, what's his name? They're going to be a powerhouse, and Pitt don't want to get embarrassed by getting beat by Robert Morris. If I was them, I would take them off my schedule immediately, like Don Nehlen did to Marshall when Randy Moss was at Marshall. He said, "We'll never play them again while I'm here."
A local team, right in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're smoking Jim's insights. That's what you got to tune in for. Just that. Big Mike.
Well, I'm waiting for you to do the fact and fiction because I want to bring
I
this.
can't, Ray. We're stopping revisit right now. Whoa. Wait. You said you want to.
I might forget.
Okay, write it down.
This is becoming fiction. This sports show and other sports shows, and I'll tell you why. 2 weeks ago, we sat here and we discussed James Harrison.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Wanted to be here. Everybody wanted to be here. He wanted to be here. His agent wanted to be here. Blah blah blah. And here it is 2 weeks later, and it turns out that today the Steelers don't want him, is what I read today.
Wow.
That's what I understood today.
You do a lot of reading.
Negotiating employees because nobody's making him any offers. And you watch, he's going to come back home. Mark my words.
So it's not fiction, this is fact. Good.
Not yet. It's
I wanna
fiction
believe,
right
baby.
now. Wait a second. It's all fiction right now.
You know what?
And it's about negotiating. Chip took some of my negotiating 101 Kool-Aid.
I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
They're
mind.
keeping the price down. They got to keep him cap friendly. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be cap friendly. See, at
Here's what's gonna happen.
6.7 million, he wasn't so friendly to our salary cap. Maybe about 4.5.
No, here, Chipper.
Follow
See
the
the
money.
deuce? It's going to be down in the twos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's
Well,
not going
what
to get
they'll
much
do-
more
No.
because he's been damaged. He got a lot to prove. Plus, he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And as soon as you get these negotiating employees by their agents, it's going to something will happen. Who knows? We don't know what yet. So it's still fiction right now.
Then we're fiction.
Well, we're opinionated. That's what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. We're going to the next segment, Pittsburgh Sports Line at Sip Sports Bar. If you want to see a show we had one of our best shows last night.
Yes, sir.
Between the guests, the interaction with us on there, the fans there in the bar were clapping and cheering and egging us on with different things. Just had a great time. Thanks to Mark at Sip Sports Bar. We're going to keep coming out there every Monday night, and it's just a great venue. We had Andy Sebastian, who had been there years ago. He said, this place just looks great. Look at the TV screens. We had games on. We're watching some of the TV while we were on the show, Big Mike. And plus the French fries were pretty good too. And the meatball sandwiches or hoagies are good. A lot of great things out there. Tracy behind the bar, we might get her on the show. She's getting close.
Yeah.
We're getting close. I think in another week she'll be on there. I'll get my water served up there and do an interview.
I would love to get Porky Chetwick on too.
Well, he'll be out
Radio
there.
on the radio.
Hey, go to Sips Sports Bar Saturday night, the 30th. Guess who's going to be there?
The
Pork
Porkster.
the
Wow.
Go see him.
I may
Go
go.
early, stay late.
I may
You
go.
might miss him if you don't get there. So enjoy the show. But it's a great venue. We appreciate it. Like Sips Sports Bar on Facebook. You know the routine here. Hit that like button for Pittsburgh Sports Line. Hit it for Pittsburgh Sports Nation, Brenner Contracting, and anybody else you might see on our page. We're about promoting positive things in Pittsburgh. We'll keep doing that. And now we go to a couple favorite segments of mine. The first one is Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Actually, this one got kind of inspired last night by Chipper. Back in 1972, woo-hoo-hoo, that sounds like a long time ago. That's over 40 years ago. But the best
You
running
weren't
back.
even born yet.
I wasn't even born yet, but the best running back in the state of Pennsylvania in high school was not Tony Dorsett. It was actually my uncle, Bubba Holmes from Menneson. Him and Tony Dorsett were first team All-State of Pennsylvania, and Bubba Holmes was considered the hotter prospect than Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett at that time was still wanting to go to Penn State. Pitt wasn't a very good program. Johnny Majors had just come in to get hired, would have been a first-year coach for that class. And I tell you what, Tony wanted to go to Penn State, but Penn State wanted him to play defensive back rather than running back. And Tony Dorsett kind of split time early in his career at Hopewell with Vaquan Kimbrell's dad, Mike Kimbrell. And Bubba Holmes was ripping it up, and for Menneson. In Menneson's rivalry, my uncle actually, in the rivalry game, helped propel Joe Montana to the next level. Joe Montana did not start for Ringgold until his junior year. And a lot of you guys who was around back in the day know that it was very unusual to get a 4 or 3 year starter on a high school team because there's just so many kids and so many great programs. And Joe Montana, when they played against heavily favored Menneson, Joe Montana came out and threw 4 touchdowns against Menneson and ran for 1. And because at that time, baseball and basketball was Joe Montana's primary sports. And Notre Dame seen that game and actually tied Menneson that year. And but my uncle went on to Minnesota University to play with Tony Dungy, and if you remember, Chuck Muncie was also a great running back at Minnesota. And if you guys remember at that time, I don't know if you guys remember back, if you ever watched Steeler films back in the '60s, a great wide receiver for the Steelers, Roy Jefferson.
One of my favorites.
One of your favorites, and he played at Utah. Because at those times, black ball players could not play in the southern schools. There was no black players until 1970 at, say, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And do you know who's the first, as I wrap this up, do you know who's the first black player in Alabama history?
No.
I sure don't.
Come on, you guys don't know your black history.
I'm fine.
The
month is
assistant head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, John Mitchell, was the first black player that Bear Bryant recruited. And so next week on Fiction and Fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac, we're going to talk about my good friend J.T. Thomas. Next week.
So wasn't Bear Bryant's hat black and white checkered?
Yes, it was. It sure was.
Houndstooth hat.
You know, nothing gets by this guy. Nothing.
It's rare.
This should be called Hangline. I'm serious. Pass it on to you.
All right, let's move on to the Chips trivia time here.
Okay, my first little nugget of useless information. I'm going to go way back on this one. Jim went back 40 years. I'm going to go back 97 years.
Wow.
96 years, excuse me. March 26, 1917. first happened in the National Hockey League. The very first American team to win the Stanley Cup happened on March 26,
The
1917.
Maroons.
The Seattle Metropolitans won the first Stanley Cup for a United States-based team because, pretty much hockey started as a Canadian venture.
Wow.
So that's my first little bit of useless
I
information.
like it. Say that name again,
The
Seattle.
Seattle Metropolitans.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
Where'd
it
the
is.
original 6 come from?
Canada.
Well, that was
Only
when
2 teams.
the Stanley Cup was being played for before the NHL came into existence. Okay?
Lord
There you go.
Stanley.
There you go. So the next little bit of useless information, being that I'm so fired up for baseball season, I read an obituary today about a gentleman that had a pretty amazing feat in the year of 1952. This gentleman's name was Virgil Fire Trucks.
Wow.
He was a pitcher. He pitched 2 no-hitters in 1952. Fairly amazing accomplishment for a pitcher to pitch 2 no-hitters in 1 year, where most guys don't ever pitch 1 in 1 season. The interesting thing about this, I found out that he is one of 5 major league pitchers to have accomplished the same feat. Okay?
Just to interrupt, was one of them a back-to-back? Because I think somebody did back-to-back no-hitters. too.
Well, you know what? I would have to look
I'll
that
have
one
you
up.
research that one for another
But
useless
I
trivia.
will tell you this: one of the players that has done it is on an active major league roster right now.
Wow.
Okay, but the other 4 pitchers that have pitched 2 no-hitters in 1 season: Johnny Vandermeer, 1938; Allie Reynolds, 1951; Nolan Ryan, 1973; and Roy Halladay of the Philadelphia Phillies. And the interesting fact about Roy Halladay's 2 no-hitters, one was pitched in the regular season and one was pitched in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
So those are my useless bits of trivia for this week.
Hey,
Stay tuned for next.
That's some great trivia time by the Chip here.
But this was all inspired by reading the obituary of Virgil Fire Trucks.
No, I was reading USA Today, and there's a little clip that said, "Pay attention to today," and it said Tiger Woods, Virgil Trucks, Freddie Adu, 2 other guys, and so I'm trying to go into the newspaper to find out where this article was referring to these 5 guys. There wasn't any. So apparently,
I
There was
know
a
how to
typo.
reach out and snatch that information away from everybody else.
Well, Tiger Woods, just to clarify, is number 1
I
in
get
the
up
world
earlier than
again.
anybody else.
He didn't die.
there's
Tiger
a guy,
Woods didn't pass away.
there's
He's
a guy-
number 1 in the world.
He doesn't know him, but there's a guy that when he catches a wave, nothing short of a broken knee or a broken marriage brings him down. So I do believe he's going to take on at least 1 major title this year.
Masters.
I say he's going to win 0 majors this year.
Well, I'm telling you,
just
when he
saying.
catches a wave and he's on one, he's won 3 out of 5 tourneys. He's entered this year.
I think a green jacket. He needs a new one. It's been a little while.
I'm thinking he's going to win a major this year. Right on. Right on.
Well, now we'll segue, since we were talking winning a major, getting clubbed. We're going to talk about boxing. Smoking Jim brought some great guests and great family guys, and some of these guys that come up there just do a lot in the community. And Smoking Jim, why don't you give that to Jim 51 there, a shout out to them, since Teddy was great coming in there last night with 4 of his boxers.
Which Teddy? Yeah.
Well, young Teddy,
Yeah.
we had to hold back, just so you know.
Teddy's father and young Teddy both. I both impressed me. I'll tell you
Young
what.
Teddy was the star of the show there. 95-pound weight class. You got to see him fight. Oh, wait a second. I do have something to advertise. Boxing tournament. You got to go to Du Bois on April 6th. That's a key day to go out there in Du Bois at 7 p.m. and see BPTV. Smoking Jim and I are going to do some ring announcing with Andy Sebastian, who was on the show, April 14th at the Doubletree Hotel. Where's that at?
In God's country, Monroeville.
So it'll be in his backyard, so he could just walk down a couple minutes before the show.
And if you have a high school aged athlete in your family, Jim will be recruiting for the high school. He'll be signing letters of intent.
As long as they can play baseball, football, tennis, something out there. Oh, there goes the, be careful over there. And then we're also going to do boxing on April 20th, the Novus Cadet and Hall of Fame at the Royal Place Restaurant. Andy Sebastian again, Thanks for showing up on the show, Andy. Appreciate it. Can't wait till it's up on YouTube there. He's going to MC the event for the Hall of Fame. We had a new friend of the show who Smoking Jim knows, Mike Bain. He's going to be inducted to the Boxing Hall of Fame. So, and he already liked us on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Really?
Yeah, I'm friends with him now. I now have 836 close friends on Facebook.
Congratulations.
Including Big Mike here, who's new. And please, try to friend Chip here. He's new to Facebook, and he's still under like 40 on people there, so help him out.
But yeah, with the emphasis on the female population.
Hey. All right, well, let's
I'm
get
happily married. Don't get me wrong, but I do love the ladies.
I'm glad he got that out of the way, Big Mike. And Smoking Jim, we were talking the dad. We'll talk about Teddy, your friend there.
Well, one thing I can say, Chipper said it well last night. The character and the humbleness of some of these boxers in the area really makes you want to get behind the boxing community. And I tell you what, I've been saying all along that Boxing 51, they are developing, you know, when you start watching some of these amateur boxers, you can see the difference in the training. And if you got a good trainer and you come from a good stable, you know, you're going to go a lot farther because there's a lot more to boxing. I teach young boxers 3 things in boxing. The jab is the most important thing in boxing. The second most important thing is combinations. And third most important thing is counter punching. And, well, I should say probably most important thing is not getting knocked out. But, but if you learn those things, you can be a pretty good boxer. And that's what they teach you at, Gym 51.
To speak to that, you know, also something has to be said about the character of the young men that are getting into this program, because every one of these young gentlemen that we've interviewed, I've just been absolutely impressed with the character they have, the drive. They're humble, they're respectful, they're elders, and you know these are traits that I've thought have been lost on the younger generation, and it is not dead. And these young men are respectful. They've got focus, they've got direction. They're trying to do positive things in their lives, and they're reaching out and touching other people in positive ways instead of being selfish and obnoxious. And that is really something to be said about that.
And here's where the gym is. Any of you that travel Route 88 to 51, there's that old firehouse there. That's where their gym is. We're going to make a visit down there. Maybe we can do some filming or something for a little infomercial or just see what they're doing to combine with our boxing here. Because they really impressed me, and that's a great location. And Teddy told me, he goes, with our gym, we're a fighting gym. So they practice sparring and fighting all the time. And young Teddy just impressed me like everything because he's determined to be a champ. He already won, the Silver Glove Awards?
Yeah, he won in his age group. He's a national Silver Gloves champion.
It's just amazing. I mean, you know, and it's got to start with the quality of the people that you're training. Plus, they've got to have good teachers, and they're teaching them a great set of values. And keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're doing it right.
And they're going to school. These kids have decent grades, and they're staying in school. They're graduating, even going on to college. JT, one of the fighters last night, does a lot for the community. We're going to try to hook up with him. He's trying to be a resource for all the boxing in the area. So we'll try to link up with some of the information he has and what we want to do out there. So,
wow, that's amazing.
A lot of good stuff.
But I'm actually kind of scared because, just real quick, a guy we met last night that he really is outstanding young man, but I didn't even know he was a boxer a couple years ago because he used to videotape and study a lot of the boxing cards. But here, this guy's a good videographer. You know, he studies boxing. He can do all those things on a computer. Terrell, and Terrell's going to fight Eric Sidnor from New York City, and Eric Sidnor knocks you. I seen Eric Sidnor knock out a guy last year. He hit him so hard, and he fought a tough kid. He hit him so hard, the guy quit in the ring. He just threw his gloves off and says, man, I ain't getting up. He said, I ain't getting up till they start sweeping up the place. Referee started counting. He says, man, I don't know what you're counting for. I ain't getting back up. But
that's a young man that really impressed me last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, that young man, I wish him nothing but good things are going to happen to him in his life. I
Yeah.
can tell you that right now.
So I may try to see what I can do to get that fight. Maybe they may want to rethink that fight with Eric, but it should be a great fight because they're two outstanding
He's
fighters.
fearless.
So.
He's fearless.
Yeah, he is.
He won't take a backward step.
That is true.
And they'll be fighting up in DuBois there. Isn't that where they're going to fight?
I think they're fighting in the championship either the 14th or the 20th.
Oh,
it might be
okay.
the 20th, so
Yeah.
I got to double check that. But no matter where it's, and you might be right. It might be up in DuBois.
I think
you
it
might
is
be
up
right.
in DuBois
You might be right. I
because
might
the
have to make
finals
the
are
road
on the
trip.
14th.
Yeah.
I think that's before
Yeah.
you get to the finals.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning the boxing
Yeah.
game, Smokey Jim. Just step by step. Give me a little information there.
You
So,
read better than I do.
thank you. But I haven't written any books yet. I have a couple plans. I'm working on one right now.
Isn't that how Howard Cosell got his start?
Yes.
Reading.
No,
Boxing.
boxing.
Okay, good. All right.
I knew you'd get one of them. You had a 50-50 chance. All right, now we got to go to the Pirates because we did touch on that a little bit here with Chip in the beginning. The opener, I remember fondly skipping school with parents' permission to go watch the games. We take a bus or so to get there from Greentree. We have an entourage of 5, 6, 8 kids. We'd all go down there.
Was that Three Rivers or Forbes Field?
Three Rivers.
Three Rivers, okay.
Yeah, I did go to a couple games, not like Big Mike, where
Really?
I'd see 40. I was lucky to see 2 or 3 at Forbes
You seen some
Field.
Ford Field games?
So
Forget
have
about
I.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
I brought in the program from the game summer of '69.
Because he got a
Wow.
free bat.
I got a free
Wow.
bat that I happened to hit my father in the head with. Sorry, Dad. Rest in peace.
That was prerequisite because I hit my dad in the knee.
Yeah.
Did you? With a bat?
Yeah, and well, forget about it. That was my last time I did that. I didn't mean
But,
to.
Well, let's go to some Bucko talk.
I think Marvin Gaye hit his dad in the knee, too.
The Pirates right now, one of the strong
others.
suits that the Pirates got going into the season is they're fairly pitching rich. They don't have a the 5-man rotation set yet. You've got your 3 starters, and you've got AJ Burnett, you've got James McDonald, you've got Wandy Rodriguez. The 4th starter was going to be Jeff Karstens, and he's got a sore shoulder, so
Disabled list, I hear.
He's on the disabled list. They're going to try to rehab that. So there's a number of different guys that are vying for that 4th and 5th position on the roster. But besides that, you've got Francisco Liriano, who's working his way back to being able to pitch. Probably be back on the mound again in May. Towards the end of May, you've got Charlie Morton, who's progressing very well in his rehab from Tommy John surgery.
Right.
Expect him back by June, and we sent Jarrett Cole down last week, to season him a little bit better and AAA. And I bet you by July that young man's up here throwing fireballs, on the mound. So the Pirates have got fairly strong pitching. They've got a pretty good core group of players. I understand that Pedro Alvarez went to the same IMG training camp that McCutcheon went to last year that helped him produce his MVP caliber season last year. Pedro's feeling more comfortable. He's enjoying himself again. He's not pressing so much. And they're not giving him the stigma of having to perform as the number 4 hitter. He's going to bat wherever they put him in the lineup, even though they do eventually see him as the cleanup hitter. But, they don't want to put too much pressure on him because he puts too much pressure on himself. And when he wasn't performing as, he started to perform as the year went on, he was trying too hard, trying to do too much instead of just, relaxing, seeing the ball, reacting, and letting his natural skills take over. So I'm really, really excited for the team. They're strong up the middle with Varmus at shortstop, Neil Walker at second base. They got the platoon of Garrett Jones and Gabby Sanchez at first base.
And Gabby Sanchez is doing pretty well this spring training. So.
Well, and the thing with Sanchez, last year we picked him up in a trade from the Marlins. Of course, that was when the Marlins were selling everything they had. Hey, taxpayers in Miami, aren't you happy with the team you're going to be watching this year? Okay. But,
Some of these opinions are shared on the show, just so you know.
But Gabby Sanchez, in the fall of 2011, going into 2012, he had major knee surgery and he wasn't able to work out. He was playing himself back into condition. Now, what he did as soon as the season was over, he didn't pick up a bat. He did nothing but work on strengthening his legs because the power for his swing and him feeling comfortable with the place all derives from his legs and his hips. And he worked on strengthening himself and
But to interrupt you, he should have contacted Smoking Jim's guy to get that deer antler underwear. Because if you wear that, these guys are healing up like crazy. Just call his man Ray, right? Because, I mean, you're talking about it took time to rehab.
By the way, he would have
right?
rubbed his chest. And he would have felt the power of the Lord.
This is part of our routine. Some of these are inside jokes. Hey, Chief, if you're watching the show, I hope you had your dessert here and you didn't spill anything. Thanks for watching us, Chief. Gary, little shout out to you in Bethel Park. Hey, and Big Joe, I know you're watching the show.
The speaker, the last thing I want to mention about the Pirates is, I'm telling you what, I'm really excited about the division the Pirates are playing in this year because if you look at the strength of the division we're in, we've got the Milwaukee Brewers. We've got the St. Louis Cardinals, 2 years removed from a world championship. You've got Cincinnati and the Pirates, So they're going to be playing one of the most competitive divisions in baseball. And, that's only going to make them better. It's not like they're going to be playing against the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Right.
Cubs.
Well,
maybe.
They play a few
Hey,
games.
but here's some breaking news for you. I'm listening to that fan the other day, that radio station, and they're talking, you can say it, but I listened to it, and they're telling about a guy who predicted in writing that the Pirates would win their division.
Wow.
Nice.
How about that?
Wow.
I
Congratulations,
don't know his name
Chip.
because I wasn't listening to it, and when I heard that, it was so off the wall. So you might want to research that. But there you go, one guy, a ghostwriter. We got Chip, the ghostwriter Hainer.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you,
Now he's even more excited because one guy did it,
I'm telling
Chip.
you, the streak's ending this year. Bank it.
Hold it, that dollar.
Lead pipe
It's
lock.
staying. Stay
Isn't that what we
home.
call it, Jim?
That's it. Yeah.
Take your mortgage.
I don't
back.
want to interrupt about losing 4 houses and then winning 5 back with Smoking Jim's picks. And that gets into the NCAA. Now, I'm picking Louisville to go all the way. I'm still with it. Pittsburgh Sports Nation with Big Mike D. He and I went half and half on there. We got the latest update. Just before I got on the show, Little Z gave me the report. There's 20 people in that bracketology thing. We're number 6.
Really?
Nice.
And
You're in the money.
we're getting close. So we're number 6 before this weekend.
But you know what? There's still going to be plenty of more excitement coming up this week. And I said
No
this at
more
the beginning
upsets.
of the tournament. This season, it is wide open. Louisville is the odds-on favorite to win it. But I'm telling you right now, any one of these 16 teams that are left, any one of them can get hot. The team that's really kind of impressed me is LaSalle. LaSalle played in one of the play-in games. They were the 68th team picked, okay? So for, most teams when they get the NCAA tournament have to win 6 games to win a national title. For LaSalle to do that, they would actually have to win 7 games. And they've already won 3 games where everyone else has only played 2. It's a pretty amazing feat.
So they
that
got the
going.
longest winning streak right now in
Wow.
NCAA tournaments so far.
This year. So there's a lot of surprises out there.
Hold it, don't you have a
Update.
cold hard pick here on the updates from your bookmaker? What about Miami?
Well, I've been with Miami the whole time. I haven't batted an eye. Miami's going to be national champions. And Shane Larkin, Barry Larkin's son, and Barry Larkin already said his son will return next year to Miami.
See, that
and
was
I'm,
just him.
And I'm predicting that Shane Larkin will do like he did in baseball and not listen to his dad and go to the NBA. So I believe
Wow.
Shane is going to the NBA.
You got 2 predictions, 2 for the price of 1 tonight. Bet the house on Miami, as we say on Pittsburgh Sportsline, but don't bet it very heavily.
Okay, who is on this group of guys? Who is the medical expert? Because I got a question.
If it's concussions, I'll take that.
Not at all. Today in the Post Gazette, there was an article about a local nurse who was got 30 months probation for selling steroids, 40,000 units to a doctor who was up for 185 counts of something or other. And then the owner of the pharmacy, the local pharmacy, is already doing 3 years of hard time.
Hard time?
Hard time.
Wow.
So my question is,
How well does he know Alex Rodriguez?
And where can you get some of that?
Or is he Ryan Braun's personal physician?
He has more of the testosterone.
I told you it's quick. What is a unit of steroids? What do
Look
steroids
right at
out
me.
of, what do steroids legally prescribed? Who does that go to and for what reason? And this guy sold 40,000.
Well, to answer your question, the reason that steroids became performance-enhancing drugs was they were using these to rehabilitate people that were in automobile accidents because of the types of injuries they had. They used them to build muscle tissue for people that were otherwise would have been on the verge of being crippled. Okay, and then of course people found out the properties of them and how they could be bended and twisted and be put to other uses and for uses they weren't intended for. But that's really how they that and the East Germans when they
and any doctors that want to call in,
when
if
they
the
had
doctors
those
want
women
to call
with facial
in,
hair, they were out lifting the men.
the East Germans were strong.
That's good stuff. I did not know that what you just told me about how it rehabbed people that were in any sort of an accident
Yeah,
of sorts.
automobile accidents.
What was it called then?
Steroids.
But I mean, they were used for a specific reason, and that's one of the things you're talking about steroids. You hear about all these athletes lately that have had these horrific knee surgeries and torn biceps and torn Achilles tendons, and these guys are getting back on the field in record time. And I can't understand how these guys have not been tested because if it stinks from the head down. And I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. But
Wow, you're throwing the cliches left and right. I thought Bill Cowher did that. You're on fire right now.
Next week I'll wear one of those good sweaters that he used to wear.
Oh,
I'll give you a Steeler hat that I have. The little.
I
I'll wear that.
asked Stephanie knit me one.
I wasn't looking at you. I was looking this way. You're big enough that I can see you from my peripheral.
Hey, one of the things we did miss is I want to congratulate Robert Morris University on their appearance in the NIT, beating Kentucky.
Absolutely.
And they went to a tough place, Providence. It's even tough for Pitt to win there. Yeah. So Robert Morris, they played their heart out. That's a team to watch for. Definitely.
Is Hope going to call him with a score? He's getting all the scores.
I'm going to have to call her because my biggest fan is now biggest fan in New Jersey. So you can wave to her because I send her whatever gets up there on YouTube. I send her an email.
Well, hey,
and she watches it and listens while she's working.
Well, Ray Shero, you're talking to mentioning the Pens. Ray Shero pulled his magic act yesterday. And, and he brought exactly to the Penguins what we've been talking about that they needed. Mm-hmm. He brought in some veteran help, and I hear people saying, they're just renting these players for this year. That's showing that he's committed to, winning a cup now because our players, Malkin, Crosby, Fleury, they're in the primes of their careers right now, and the time to win is now. And they brought in a winger that's going to play on Malkin's line, is the kind of guy that's going to go into the corners and dig out the pucks. And they brought this big, strong kid from San Jose, who's going to be clearing out the front of the net, so these guys aren't getting soft rebound shots on Fleury.
6'3", 245.
Murray, but you know what his nickname
Murray's
is?
his name, Crankshaft.
Yeah, Crankshaft. I love it.
Did you see the picture of him in the press this morning? He's he was beating the snot out of somebody. He had him down with one hand, and he had this look on his face like he was going to drive his fist through his other ear. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly what they did. Because the Penguins have plenty of offensive defensemen. They need a guy that's going to stand there and just say this far and no further. And I think what they did was they gave up really nothing for what they're going to get. And I think what that's going to do is that's going to be the difference between them winning the cup this year and not.
Tell you what you just said, a spurt of thought in my mind, is he's a Swede. I'm telling you, he is. Okay. Murray.
Malcolm.
Swede.
Okay.
And do you remember the last Swede we got on the spur?
Olfie. He was afraid of the big bad Ulf.
And supposedly Europeans weren't supposed to be rough and tumble. But
do you remember the name Billy Guerin?
Yeah.
That's what Morrow is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we got
How about
two
this?
things.
Did you see the? Do you know who fought with Morrow center ice and
Letang.
Big time. Yeah.
They were duking it out.
Yeah.
Letang's going to be skating tonight. He's going to be playing tonight. They're sending
Rumors about Malkin coming back, shortly, maybe by Thursday.
Well, he needs to get some time in with his new line mates, because I think you're going to see Malkin and Neal with what is his name, Morrow?
More.
Yeah.
Morrow on the line. They need some time to get each other's timing down, and then you're going to have two of the best lines probably in hockey history with Crosby, Dupree, Kunitz, and then you got Malkin, Neal, and Morrow.
I agree with you.
I got to do this because
We're still talking Penguins.
I am.
If you have to be excused, we can't
I
cut
never
the
looked at him
commercial.
when we talk Penguins. I'm going to tell you an interesting thing about James Neal, Brendan Morrow, and Evangelos Malkin on the same line.
Who?
Gino.
Okay.
Gino.
They're all left-handed shooters.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't
What does
matter
that
how
mean
they
in the
shoot,
scheme
as
of
long as
things?
the pucks go in the net.
Is there any talk of Brashear coming back?
No.
But Jerome McGill, if I'm saying that right, so right around the corner, which is really cool because you guys brought it to the attention. Yeah, Brendan Morrow's 33, and I think Murray's 35 or something like that.
34.
Well, their Ray Sherrill, whom I happen to like, is absolutely going for it. I mean, right now, right here and now.
Right, but they haven't mortgaged the team's future
No,
to do it.
no.
You know what I mean? They gave up their ninth or 10th rated defenseman who hasn't even played a minute in the NHL this year and won't, as far down as he was. And they're giving up 2 second-round draft picks for this kid from San Jose, Murray. I mean, these could probably be like the 60th picks in the draft, and in the 60th pick in the NHL draft,
But here's
it's
what
a
I
crapshoot.
got to think. Great for the Penguins, but what about the Dallas Stars? You got Gogo went down there. Gogolowski went down there last year, and they thought they had a winner there, and he stunk up the place a little bit. And now you're making another move here. We're getting rid of your captain. So those Dallas, what would we be like if you were getting players that stink or aren't doing as well because they thought it would take them to the Stanley Cup? And then you get rid of your captain.
Yeah.
So makes you think. I have a little empathy for the Dallas Stars.
I have no sympathy at all for anybody from Dallas. They're circling
Really?
the bowl, and that's where they belong.
Well, we're not talking football. I like their basketball, and I like their
football. The
basketball's
Texas
all right.
Rangers, they're all belonging at the toilet.
Hey, no, that Mark Cuban did one of the classiest things I ever saw in my life during the championship. You never see this in sports. When they won the NBA title there, he gave the trophy to the guy who founded the Dallas Mavericks.
Really?
And it was right on air. He gave it to him to hold it first. That's one of the classiest things.
Right.
But that's a Pittsburgh guy.
That's a Pittsburgh guy, and he's misplaced in Dallas. And, that's
Well, I'd
his
love to
cross
see
bear.
him here. I would love to see that guy here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, he's not coming back. He visits here regularly. So.
As an
But-
owner.
As I know. Would have been nice if he could have owned the Pirates, huh?
Oh, I
Don't
didn't think
talk
of
about
but,
that in front of Chip right now. Jeez. Don't get him riled up.
No, that's
We're going to
still-
change
that's-
gears right
no,
now.
that still could elevate the Pirates to where
there's
we
some
want
high
them to be.
school sports that's going on with basketball, and Big Mike D was talking about Beaver Falls is the only Western Pennsylvania high school that's carrying on the tradition right now.
Yeah.
For the championships.
Newcastle's undefeated streak ended. So they lost to Lower Merion, and then also Lincoln Park.
The band.
The band. No, Lincoln Park lost in the semifinals as well, and hats off to the newest state champion in Quad A, Lower Merion. They beat Chester in the championship game. So. Hey, Newcastle came close. It was 1983 was the last time a WPIAL team went undefeated and won the state championship, and that was the 1983 Stowe Rocks.
There's a
team.
little more trivia
Wow.
from Chip's
Wow.
trivia time, folks.
Wow.
He threw that one out free. That was
Little freebie there for
a
you.
little freebie on the end. And we're winding this down, so we're not going to do Steeler talk. We touched on that a little bit. Let's go to Big Mike because he writes volumes during the week. So try to keep this short. Like
I got
about a
stuff
minute.
left over for next week, but there's two
What
things.
about last week? You had 18 pages we didn't get
No,
to.
there's two cool things since we mentioned steroids. This was in USA Today sometime last week. Do you buy Ryan Braun's story after a second link to performance-enhancing drugs? And the answers were yes. He was proven innocent before and will be again. No, you'd have to be a fool to believe him.
Wait a minute. Hold the phone minute. He was not proven innocent. The test came back positive.
You went right into Chip's wheelhouse.
There was a flaw with the collection process. There was never said that wasn't his sample and that it didn't test positive. Okay, he was not proven innocent.
Here, you need a pen?
Yes, he
There
was.
was
He
flaws
was
in
not
the
proven
system that he
innocent. And he was.
exploited.
Big.
Okay,
Here's
the
a pen.
third one. You'd have to be. No, the third one was I don't care if baseball players do PEDs. Which one do you think was number one?
He's like all the rest of them.
No,
he hasn't been
no.
caught yet.
No,
That's
it's
a
just
new category.
People don't care that much.
No, the thing is, people are going to continue to do it because there's no punishment. There's rewards for people that cheat in
Oh, Boca
baseball.
Cabrera. Okay, this one was
All right,
extremely
we're
interesting.
winding this down here.
The
Come
earliest
on.
account of steroid use comes from Tom Haas, who pitched in the majors from '71 to '78 for the Reds and the Giants. Haas admitted to using steroids for a couple years during his career and estimated that 6 or 7 pitchers from each team were using steroids throughout the '70s.
Wow.
Not a surprise. They were on greenies.
70s, in the
Just read
70s.
Ball 4. Did you ever read Jim Bouton's
Oh, by
book,
the
Ball
way, yeah.
4?
By the way, yes, I did. By the
Okay,
way,
we're gonna have to move on.
that doctor that what I was talking about earlier was the Steelers doctor from 1987 through 2007.
Wow.
Dr. Rydzik.
Very interesting.
I-
You're casting questions on everything that we believe in. Smoking Jim, let's get a closing remark from
Might
him.
have been. I think he knows Steve Corson. Closing remarks is going to be this weekend. Coming up, next game for the University of Miami Hurricanes is Marquette, and Miami will pay Marquette back for all the beatings that Marquette gave to Jamie Dixon and Pitt. So look for the Miami Hurricanes.
Give me the bet the house, please. Please, I want one more bet the house.
Bet the house
All
on
right.
my Canes. It's the year of the Canes.
Hurricanes. All right. Chip, what's your closing
My
remarks?
closing remarks. This one's from my good friend, Big Mike Butera over here, Yankee fan, right? Last pitcher to pitch a no-hitter as a visiting pitcher in Yankee Stadium. Virgil Fire Trucks.
Wow.
Well,
Nice one,
really?
Nice one.
Wow.
Nice one.
Well, another freebie, folks. He's throwing out trivia like they're
Last
pennies
visiting
tonight.
pitcher to pitch a no-hitter in Yankee Stadium.
Was that the Kansas City A's? he was pitching with?
1952.
52. Was he with the A's? Did it say?
No, I don't know who he was with, but I'm telling you, this information just comes to me, man. I meditate.
On that happy note, I can't stop without at least one little
That was
infomercial.
awesome.
We have our
Awesome.
unicycle little promotion here, and I did get Trina Hess introduced me to a couple people that helped there. We're going to have a guest coming up who they're helping to sponsor this. This is one of the few
yeah?
events for unicycles held on the East Coast. So it's a huge event. I didn't realize how big it is. So when we have a guy named Dave on our show at SIP Sportsline, you know, you'll be amazed there. We'll have him out there. So I have talked to him online, and we'll try to set that up maybe in April, get him out there. And that's one of my things. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Devin. He ran the cameras. He ran the control room. He locked the door on us. Folks, we're trapped in here.
He sold popcorn at halftime. I'm telling you what, this kid's unbelievable.
Devin's the
Devin,
greatest.
thanks.
But we say, Aaron, we hope you get well. It's no fun being sick. Drink that green tea. That's keeping me healthy right now. Keep the green tea. And see us on YouTube, 32 on Verizon, all over the area. Contrary to what Big Mike says, we have more than 6 people. We're at 166 on Facebook. Maybe you'll like us so we get to 167. Hey, thanks for watching the show, everybody. Tune in next week.